From time to time, we all have to have difficult conversations. It's just part of life. It's part of working life, and it's part of our personal lives. But often, what puts us off is just knowing where to begin. How do I start to tell somebody that something they're doing is really ticking me off, or I've been inconvenienced, or I need something to stop? We often make life really difficult for ourselves, and I'm going to give you a number of tips for how to get over that first stumbling block of how to make a beginning. But first, I'm going to ask you to pause the video in a moment and to think about how typically you open up that kind of conversation. Just scribble down the typical words that you will begin with, and then we'll come back in a minute. Pause the video now. So welcome back. So what I would be willing to bet is that you probably do quite a big introduction to settle yourself down, to try and relax them, to try and just generally make it okay. So the first rule is to actually cut a lot of that out. Make your introduction really brief. In fact, the thing to really do is to just name the topic that you want to talk about. And the second thing that you do is to actually tell the person what's about to happen. So have a think about, in the briefest, smallest number of words, how you would say those two things. What the topic is and what's about to happen. Pause the video now and I'll see you in a second. Okay, welcome back. How did you get on? So what you should have now is literally 2, 3 sentences at the very most. They may sound something like this. I want to talk about the report that you did, and I've got some feedback for you on it. Another example. I want to talk about the meeting that we were in the other day, and I wanted to give you some feedback. So that is the way of getting straight into it, and immediately they know what's going to happen. So pause the video in a moment and rewrite those opening sentences, literally 2 sentences, in the sort of brevity that I described. Pause the video now. So, how did you get on? I bet already it's a lot briefer than you had planned. But there's one final ingredient that we need to add in. And this could also be a really good way of getting off the starting blocks and making it, or at least the really painful part, pass as quickly as possible so both people can start thinking about the solution. And that is to actually give them your feedback. The most important thing about feedback, I think, is that it should be subjective. Yes, you heard right, subjective and not objective. By which I mean specifically that it is helpful to calibrate your feedback by stating a feeling. In other words, what's the feeling that you've had, or that you had at the time of the incident or whatever happened, that has prompted you to give the feedback? Secondly, what is that feeling about? What behavior or thing did the person do that meant so much to you? So pause the video now and have a go at writing down, again, in 1 or 2 sentences maximum, the fewest number of words, how you felt and what they did that prompted that feeling. Welcome back. How did you get on? So now you should be left with literally 4, maximum 5 sentences on the piece of paper in front of you. And they might run something like this. Hi, I wanted to talk about the meeting last week. I wanted to give you some feedback on it. In the middle of it, when you were talking to the client a lot, in fact, you interrupted them, I got really nervous. And that's it. That's all you need to do. And then the conversation will begin. But the main thing is you've got straight into it and you've massively cut down on the level and the duration of discomfort for you and for them.